When spiritual practice doesn't work, mantra, suffering, and the longing for a miracle. What happens when you've meditated for decades, chanted the mantras, followed the teachings, and yet your suffering not only remains, it grows? What do you do when nothing works? When the pain in your body becomes unbearable, and the sacred techniques begin to feel like empty rituals? This video is for the ones who've walked far and are still in the dark. Section 1. The silence after the chanting yup. There is a point on the spiritual path where all the methods begin to fail. You've used the mantras, you've done the japa, the meditations, the breath work, maybe for 10 years, maybe for 30, and yet the body continues to decline. Pain persists, fear grows louder, suffering becomes a steady companion. At this point, many spiritual seekers feel confused, even betrayed. They wonder, was it all a lie? Did I chant wrong? Why does my body feel worse the more I practice? These are sacred questions, and they deserve answers that aren't just comforting, they deserve answers that are true. Section 2. When the body becomes the battlefield. As we age, we often discover that the body no longer plays by our rules. Energy decreases. Pain appears without warning. Things that were once easy, walking, sleeping, laughing, become burdens. And if you are on a spiritual path, this creates a painful paradox. You've done everything right, and yet you are suffering more than ever. This is where many seekers turn inward and cry, if this is spiritual progress, why do I feel like I'm being destroyed? The answer is complex, but it begins with this. Spirituality does not guarantee comfort. It invites transformation, and transformation in its rawest form can feel like disintegration. Section 3. This is a simulation, so why can't I change it? Yes, this life may be a simulation, a field of karmic projection, a dream dreamed by consciousness. But even in a dream, pain can feel real. An awakening from the simulation doesn't come from knowing it's a dream. It comes from seeing through the pattern while still inside it. You can't just declare, this is all illusion, so make the suffering stop. That rarely works, because the simulation is maintained by deep-rooted patterns, karmic, mental, energetic, and these don't dissolve just by realizing they exist. You must become lucid inside the dream, still breathing, still feeling, still choosing awareness over reaction. That's the first sign that the simulation is losing its hold. Section 4. The limits of mantra and the truth about cities mantras are sacred, but they are not vending machines. They don't work on our timeline, and they don't always work the way we want them to. Sometimes a mantra brings peace, sometimes clarity, sometimes it seems to do nothing at all. And this truth must be said, not every mantra leads to physical healing, not every technique leads to ecstasy. That doesn't make them false, but it does mean that we need to change our relationship to them. Chanting out of desperation leads to disappointment. Chanting from stillness, even amid pain, leads to something else. Not always relief, but sometimes an opening. And as for cities, real cities don't obey the ego. They are not rewards for chanting. They arise when the small self dies into something greater. Wanting a city for healing is natural, it's human. But chasing it as a way to escape suffering often delays the very shift needed to receive it. Section 5. Aging, exhaustion, and the sacred pause. If you've been chanting for 30 years and feel worse, maybe it's time to stop. Not forever, but just long enough to listen. What is your soul trying to say beneath the noise of effort? Perhaps the most spiritual thing you can do now is rest. Place your hand on your heart and say quietly, I release the striving. Let the mantra chant me now. Let the breath become your mantra. Let your silence become your offering. The techniques were never the goal, they were the boat. But now, maybe it's time to swim. Section 6. So what does help? There's no one answer, but here's what I've seen help others in this place. Simpler practices with no goal. Gentle yin yoga that allows emotions to move through the body. Soft chanting done not for results, but as devotion. Daily rituals that give rhythm to long, difficult days, letting yourself feel all of it without shame, and above all, being seen, heard, witnessed. Even if nothing changes, something softens when we're not alone. Final transmission to the one watching this who is suffering. You are not weak, you are not broken, you are not behind, you are just tired of being strong in the dark. You've walked far, you've tried everything, and still you seek. That seeking that whisper in the middle of the night, that refusal to go numb, that is the city already alive in you. You are not forgotten, you are not failing, you are ripening, and I bow to the courage it takes to keep asking questions when the answers never come fast enough. With reverence and brotherhood, Lokeshananda, the light you are seeking is already watching you from within.